Hello everybody, FT here coming at you with a low effort forest video. Rather than my classic low effort car video, I decided I'm on a walk today. I'm hiking around here in the woods. Why not shoot a little video for you guys, specifically talking about Nina Turner. Nina Turner. With midterms around the corner, voting and supporting politicians is on the minds of a lot of Americans because a lot of Americans are suffering right now. A lot of them are struggling right now. And so the conventional channel by which social change and reform is enacted is through the political apparatus. So people are going to be supporting presidential candidates, House and Senate candidates, and political representatives to fight for their interests. So I've been seeing a lot of tweets on Twitter from Nina Turner, tweeting a lot of good progressive policy. And as it turns out, she is going to be running for president in 2024 on the progressive ticket. She's going to be running for free healthcare, free education, living wage, Green New Deal, reparations, expansion of Social Security, regulation on Wall Street, taxing the rich. All of these great policies that were on the Bernie Sanders platform are going to basically be on the Nina Turner platform. And with that being said, I wanted to talk about the most likely outcome of what is going to happen. What is going to happen when Nina runs in 2024? I predict there's about a 99% chance that she loses. This is the most likely outcome for a number of reasons. Number one, electoral fraud. The primaries are rigged. They're just going to hack the voting machines again, or nefariously code the voting machines again to flip votes, discount votes, and what you'll see is in all of the states she performs exceptionally well in, she's always going to consistently lag 5 to 10% off from the establishment Democratic primary candidates. And it's going to be a consistent trend where you see a huge divergence between the exit polling data, which is taken from people as they leave the voting booths, telling you who they voted for, as well as the announced data, what is publicly shown. You're going to see these huge discrepancies strongly indicating fraud. And that's not the only thing. The media is going to run a smear campaign against her. They're going to talk all this shit. They're going to say all these things about her. And they're basically going to come at her with all these fraudulent criticisms because there are still a lot of old people tuned into mainstream media, and that's the source that they trust for their information. They're going to instinctively be biased against her. You also have faux progressives splitting the vote. Anybody remember the 2020 Democratic primary when it wasn't just Bernie Sanders, it was Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, Beto O'Rourke, Stapler Lady Klobuchar, and CIA agent Buttigieg. They were all running on a semi-similar progressive ticket, mimicking the Bernie Sanders campaign. Why? Because they know that the most left-wing candidate is going to garner the most popular support. So instead of having like a draconian 900-year-old vampire like Hillary Clinton running against Sanders this time, they're having a bunch of smaller faux progressives running against the authentic progressive at this time. So that's just what's going to happen. So they're going to split the vote on top of the vote rigging, on top of the media smear campaign. And the biggest reason why I don't think Nina Turner is going to perform as well as Bernie Sanders, besides all of the above, is because she has no crossover Republican appeal. She has no appeal to Republicans for the simple reason that she is not an old white man. She's a young black woman. You see, the thing is about Republicans is for all their denunciation of identity politics, Republicans fundamentally only care about identity politics. They're defined by the very shallow, surface-level characteristics and the individuals involved rather than the issues itself, because they're partisan douchers and because they're racist, sexist assholes, a lot of them are. A lot of Republican supporters have a lot of implicit bias and prejudice against women and black people. And so when you combine that together, they're going to hear this Nina Turner coming along, and they're going to perceive her as not as valid or legitimate or as presidential. It's the same thing that happened to Barack Obama, in fact. You had a lot of Republicans that were saying he didn't seem very presidential, even though his platform and what he ended up doing in practice was fundamentally not that much different from like a left-leaning Republican. So she has no appeal to Republicans. She doesn't have Republican crossover like Bernie Sanders does, because at the very least, Bernie Sanders was an old white man, the one demographic that right-wingers trust to run their countries. But let's say she does win. Let's say, against all odds, She gets elected to be the primary nominee of the Democrats and then goes on to become president of the United States. What will happen then? The House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the various tools and levers of power will clamp the fuck down to make sure she can get no progressive policy passed. And what progressive policy she does manage to get passed that doesn't just get actively blocked and frustrated by every politician in the House and the Senate, save the handful of Justice Democrats, you're going to see a capital strike. Who owns the means of production, people? Is it Nina Turner and the politicians? No, it would be the capitalist class, the investors. And so when they hear that Nina Turner's coming along and she's going to tax them more to help pay for social programs, that she's going to try to regulate the economy more, they're basically just going to stop investing. They're going to stop putting money into the economy. They're going to fire all of their employees. They're going to clamp the fuck down, and they're going to engage in something known as capital strike. You will see the stock market plummet if Nina Turner threatens to take power and let alone manages to get progressive policy through. They are going to clamp down. You are going to see the forces of reaction consolidate against her, not just from the White House itself, but you're also going to see all of the big businessmen, engaging in capital strike, just not investing, sitting on their hoards of wealth, because for them to invest is for them to lose money. And on top of that, because the same horde of vampires, because the same group of vampires that buy our politicians are also buying our media, you're also going to see a mass hysteria of smear and slander against Nina Turner, blaming her for the economic crash that will immediately happen after she becomes president. So they're going to crash the economy, and then they're going to blame her for the bullshit that they're doing. That is exactly what's going to happen. And it is going to make the progressive cause look bad. It is going to threaten the legitimacy of the progressive cause, and all it's going to do is validate and vindicate right-wing trickle-down fascist theory. And with those things being said, there are some fundamental issues with Nina Turner that I wanted to get into right now. Okay, so let's talk about the problems with Nina Turner. What are the problems with Nina Turner? Well, the majority of the problems with Nina Turner are the exact same problems with Bernie Sanders. She's not radical enough. She's a moderate leftist. She doesn't actually want to overthrow capitalism. She just wants to reform it and make it more tenable to the interests of workers and the middle class. And so when push comes to shove, when socialists actually threaten to take power, when proletarian revolution is around the corner, where will people like Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders be? Are they going to be on the side of the revolutionaries? Are they going to side with the socialists and the working class, like they claim to do right now? Or are they going to side with the establishment and status quo because the socialists are too left-wing and they're too authoritarian and dictatorial, so to speak? Well, history has shown the latter. Historically, whenever socialists threaten to take power and socialist revolution is around the corner, the moderate leftists, the social democrats, will side with the establishment against them. They will side with the establishment and status quo, be it the Civil War or be it against the revolution, to crush the revolution to keep it from happening. Just look at the failed revolution in Germany. Who murdered Rosa Luxemburg? It was the Social Democrats. It was the moderate leftists that ended up selling out the communists in the end. Look at the Bolshevik Revolution. What of the Mensheviks? What happened to the Mensheviks and the moderate socialists that didn't think Russia was ready for socialism? They sided with the whites. They sided with the White Russian and the White Gardists. So, historically, when push comes to shove, the Social Democrats have historically put a knife in the back of the revolution and sided with reaction on a pretty consistent basis. So where does that leave Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner? When history has shown that Social Democrats really can't be trusted in the grand scheme of things, do you really think that they are going to actually side with the working class when the push comes to shove and revolution starts to become a looming threat over capitalism?
Quick comments. I think we already know the answer to this question. As evidenced by Nina Turner and Bernie Sanders' fervent loyalty to the Dems, as evidenced by their unwillingness to go after the Democrats and criticize the Democrats in the ways that they need to be criticized, In their unwillingness to call out the electoral fraud, in their unwillingness to revert to a working-class third party during the general election when they inevitably fail the primary, as evidenced by their loyalty and inevitable endorsement of the Dems as soon as they fail the primary, as evidenced by Bernie Sanders' unwillingness and refusal to challenge Joe Biden out of his fear of compromising their friendship, we already know that both Sanders and Turner are opportunist sellouts because, as history and the trends have shown, they can and will sell out the workers' movement at the behest of the DNC, and are in effect manipulative tools of the ruling class, just as social democrats and moderate leftists have been historically.
Which brings me to my next issue, is that Nina Turner is fundamentally a bribe. Why is it that the Democrats, a ruling class party for and by the bourgeoisie, would ever want to keep around progressives that basically want them to piss on themselves for morals? It's because they're used as sheepdogs. They're used to sheepdog young people with real grievances who are passionate about politics into the mechanisms and confines of a party basically designed not to work. It's deliberately designed to defang, neuter, and castrate the efforts of the working class and to sandbag the left while telling them that reforms are coming and big social change is coming and making all these policies that they fundamentally never keep. That's the other problem. She's a bribe. Even if we do get these things, it's only going to be by way of revolutionary threat. The only way we're going to get free healthcare in America is if the ruling class realize that their pockets and their lives are on the line and they have to give up some of their wealth to bribe the working class to calm them down. That's what's happened historically. It's happened in the United States and it happened in Western Europe. It's fundamentally a bribe. So, at best it's a bribe, at worst you're being manipulated by a sheepdog candidate just like Bernie Sanders, who will, when she loses the election, inevitably tell you to vote blue no matter who. Because that's what happened with Bernie Sanders both times. We gotta stop Donald Trump. What did he do? He turned around and endorsed Hillary Clinton, and he endorsed his good friend, Joe Biden. And this brings me to my next point. Nina Turner is an opportunist. She is, in the grand scheme of things, not an anti-imperialist because she doesn't want to fucking, as far as I know, withdraw troop presence from around the globe. She doesn't really want to fucking dismantle our gigantic military, as far as I know. And even if she does, she's not going to succeed in it because there's too much money in the military-industrial complex for one person to try and tackle. This goes back to my point. She's a sheepdog. She is a Democratic partisan who will not challenge the Democrats in the ways that they need to be challenged in order to win. She will not challenge power itself in the ways that it needs to be challenged in order to win. Because, again, she's not an actual leftist. She's a centrist. She is the compromise between labor and capital. So she's not going to challenge it. She's a Democratic partisan. And so when push comes to shove, she's not really going to fight for working people. She's going to do what Bernie Sanders did and declare her opponent her good friend and refuse to criticize them too hard. Again, she doesn't want to overthrow capitalism, she just wants to reform it, which at this point is not going to work for a number of reasons. Primarily the falling rate of profit and the fact that workers have no political leverage whatsoever to force the capitalists to do what they want. The labor movement is dead, and it's being kept dead by the Democrats and the likes of other various opportunist swine. And so long as sincere leftists, actual leftists, and working people are working within the confines of the Democratic Party, there is no movements to be had. The movement is dead. There can be no movements within the Democratic Party, which is why we have to leave it and abandon it, form a grand exodus from it, and form our own party, a working class party, a socialist party, a communist party. And so, with all that being said, what is the working class to do after they abandon the Democratic Party? They are to reject the Democrats completely, for one. That means no voting for them, no supporting them, none of that shit. You completely make a grand exodus. The only reason that I am going to be even remotely involved in the Nina Turner campaign is to demonstrate the failures of the Nina Turner campaign. So when people say that it's a failure, that's where we step in. And that's where we go about advocating for a third party. Now, we need a working class party. Join a workers' org. That is step number 2 after step number 1. That is abandoning the Dems. You've got some options. You've got the Green Party, the Communist Party USA, you have the DSA, which is really an extension of the Democrats, and you have the Party for Socialism and Liberation, the Socialist Alternative. All of these parties have issues. They all have issues with cultism and opportunism and petty bourgeois middle-class elements. Some of them aren't even like sincere socialist orgs for realsies. Like, I don't really think the Green Party is. They may have socialists in it, but I don't really think they're a full bona fide socialist party. I just think they're more or less the extreme left fringe of mainstream political discourse. But with that being said, get involved in a party. And this brings me to the next step. Form a workers' council and or join a workers' council if there's one nearby. If there's one nearby, join a workers' council. And it doesn't even have to be a council. You can start it off as just a Marxist reading group and then formulate a council. But the whole point of a council, aka a Soviet, is it is an institution of democratic decision-making by which workers make collective decisions to tackle local issues that are going on within their communities. So you can have like a neighborhood watch. It can be a militia. It can be a mutual aid group like Food Not Bombs. It can be just a workers' council by which you and everybody else in the warehouse or the factory that you guys work in just come together to do class struggle. And that's the whole point. The whole point of forming these councils and getting involved in these councils and these organizations is you are building dual power. You are building up dual power in the infrastructure needed to establish a socialist government. Which brings me to step 4. Get involved in local politics. Get involved in local class struggle. Is a landlord that you know nearby trying to evict some tenants? Well, you better go about organizing and supporting those tenants. Are there a bunch of homeless people on the street? A bunch of cold, hungry, homeless people on the streets that the city is doing fuck all about? Then you can go about giving them mutual aid. Are your bosses cracking down and making your workplace a living nightmare? You don't have to take it. Get together with your fellow workers. Engage in class struggle. That's the step. Engage in class struggle. Actually do class struggle and problem solving at the local level. Find out what your local issues are or local hard points of class struggle and contradictions, and get involved in resolving those issues and bringing people together to, again, resolve those issues. And so the next step is, don't just stick to locality, don't just stick with your party, get coordinated with other leftists, not just at the local level, but at the regional and national level. Start talking to people out of state, in different provinces, across the country, and start orchestrating and organizing your actions collectively together. In this way, the groups that aren't engaging in political action or class struggle or protest or strike at this time grants aid and material and physical support to the groups that are engaged in class struggle or protest at this time. So if you know some laborers that are doing a strike inside a factory on the other side of the country, if you're all coordinated and organized, everybody else should be doing solidarity strikes with them as well. Solidarity protests. They should be doing some agitation. They should be granting the people involved in the strike material support, because if you're not working, you're not making money. And so it would be super helpful if these striking workers were granted material support externally from the outside. Remember, guys, class struggle does not begin and end at your local and regional municipality. We have to start this from the grassroots, but we need to get connected on a national scale, which brings me to my next point, getting connected on an international scale. We need a new international movement. As far as I know, there's no significant international working men's association of the day, so y'all need to learn some languages, and y'all need to get connected with Marxists in other countries. And in this way, we can get connected internationally and form a new international movement. Because what is capitalism? It is an international phenomenon. And so this brings me to my concluding thoughts. Reject the Democrats. Reject the two-party duopoly. Nina Turner is a trap and a bribe meant to swindle and manipulate the working class and sheepdog them into a party designed to neuter their best efforts. Social change comes from class struggle, and so with that being said, get off the internet. I'm not saying get off the internet permanently, but get off the internet and go touch grass. Get involved in an organization. Start a reading group. Try to spread these ideas. Stand in solidarity with people in your local areas that are engaged in class struggle. And if you don't see any class struggle, try to make some class struggle happen. Try to start something. Try to bring people together. That's the point of this. We have to come together collectively in a conscious, deliberate manner in order to change the system for the better and to establish socialism. That's the only way it's going to happen. It's not going to happen by us voting for politicians. We're not going to get our rights because we voted for someone and passed off our political responsibility onto somebody else. We only get our rights when we fight for them, when working people come together and do class struggle. That's where social change comes from fundamentally, is class struggle. And so the last thing I want to say is that I want to take this channel in a new direction. I want to experiment with something. I don't know how many of y'all are around, but I'm sure many of my OG subscribers remember when I did the 100 Signs campaign, when I decided to go out and touch grass and do a minor experiment. It was a little experiment where I wanted to see how much influence I had over my social media followers, in which we all came together and we stood in solidarity and posted a bunch of signs around and about. Well, as it turns out, the United States is asking its UN buddies for permission to invade Haiti, to crack down and crush a democratic uprising in Haiti against their puppet U.S. regime that took power after their previous leader was assassinated. And so what I'm interested in right now is getting involved and seeing who wants to get involved among my followers in directly participating in class struggle. We have this new and useful tool in the form of the internet. We are able to connect with people instantaneously at light speeds at will. In this day and age, there's no reason why we shouldn't be using the internet to communicate and organize with one another. What I'm doing right now is a call to action. A call to action to agitate, educate, and organize. Specifically for this happening in Haiti. Hands off Haiti. I'm going to be participating in some protests myself. Where there are no protests taking place, I'm going to start some protests, and I'm going to see about orchestrating it this weekend. And I suggest you guys do the same. We should come together and say hands off Haiti. Say that America has no fucking right to go in and interfere in the business of another country. So anyways, that's all I have to say for now. I hope you found this video interesting. We will keep in touch. Now get out there and agitate, educate, and organize.